आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज।
We bring you all a podcast series on STEM popularization, that is, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine, supported and catalyzed by the National Council for Science and Technology Communication, the Government of India. Program is produced by Media for Community Foundation. Creative content and technical support is given by Farzeen Sultan.
एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज, की आवाज।
हमारी ये दुनिया निरंतर बदलाव की ओर बढ़ रही है और न जाने कितने ऐसे प्रोसेसेस हैं जो इसके बैलेंस को बनाए रखे हैं। उन्हीं में से एक कैटेगरी ऑफ प्रोसेसेस है ट्रांजिएंट एस्ट्रोफिजिकल सोर्सेज की। आपको बता दें, ये वो प्रोसेसेस या सोर्सेज होते हैं जो रिलेटिवली शॉर्ट टाइम पीरियड के लिए होते हैं और बहुत रैपिडली फेड आउट हो जाते हैं। मॉडर्न एस्ट्रोफिजिकल वर्ल्ड में इनकी स्टडी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाती है, क्योंकि इनकी मदद से हम ब्रह्मांड के उन छुपे हुए रहस्यों तक पहुँच सकते हैं जो शायद कभी हमारी कल्पना में भी नहीं थे। इसी विषय पर पिछली कड़ी में हमने आपको सुनवाई थी हमारी बातचीत डॉक्टर कुंतल मिश्रा से, जो कि एरीज यानी आर्यभट्ट रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ऑब्जर्वेशनल साइंसेज में साइंटिस्ट ई के पद पर कार्यरत हैं। आज की कड़ी में हम अपनी इस चर्चा को आगे बढ़ाएंगे और जानेंगे डॉक्टर कुंतल मिश्रा के कार्यों के बारे में।
आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज।
We bring you all a podcast series on STEM popularization, that is, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine, supported and catalyzed by the National Council for Science and Technology Communication, the Government of India. Program is produced by Media for Community Foundation. Creative content and technical support is given by Farzeen Sultan.
एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज, की आवाज।
सबसे पहले जानेंगे एरीज यानी आर्यभट्ट रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ऑब्जर्वेशनल साइंसेज में साइंटिस्ट ई के पद पर कार्यरत डॉक्टर कुंतल मिश्रा के रिसर्च ग्लोबली कॉमन मैन और स्टेम के लिए कैसे यूजफुल है के बारे में।
So I'll bring 2 points over here. One is the technological development and one is the scientific development. So when I say technological development, so these are like transient events which are coming in the sky, and after a certain point of time they will go away. So we need to monitor them exactly in that window to be able to extract out some useful scientific information from them. You can observe it with the different telescopes, be it the space telescopes or be it the ground-based telescopes, like the telescopes we have at our own observatory. But what happens is that this provides like more emphasis and to develop more cutting-edge instruments which can detect such kind of sources. And also there are many surveys which are going on nowadays, which are looking at the large patch of the sky. So when you have to detect the transient, what you have to basically just do a image subtraction. Your transient would appear yesterday. Suppose in one of the images your new candidate appeared yesterday. It was not there in the images which were taken prior to that event had taken place. So we would normally have to scan through a large number of images which were taken earlier to see the presence or the absence of a new source, basically, right? So this involves a lot of data mining and data processing. So with the current generation of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, or the deep learning algorithms, it is paving a way to detect more and more of these unknown candidates from large sky surveys. Requires a lot of data mining, a lot of computational power and expertise in terms of like extracting the useful information out of it. And so like development of cutting edge instruments is one. Then second is using a lot of computational powers to extract information from sky surveys. And in terms of the scientific use for the general people, I would say that this gives this physics, astrophysics in itself is a fundamental physics, which gives like the information about the primary mechanisms that we are studying. As I had mentioned earlier, that the supernovae explosions, you basically know about the presence of the heavy elements from supernovae explosions. When Big Bang happened, we only knew about the existence of hydrogen, helium, but our periodic table has so many other elements. All the heavy elements are there, right? So once a supernova explosion takes place, all the heavy elements are produced because of the synthesis that is taking place over there. And very recently, even with this gravitational wave source detection, there was a kilonova associated. So kilonova is just a term. You just consider it as a terminology of a special kind of object which produces very heavy elements like gold and the lanthanide series elements. And the presence of such elements has been seen in the spectrum of the kilonova source. So I would say that this is like the fundamental physics, which is, the fundamental physics is coming from the observations that we are taking for such kind of astrophysical sources. And not only the primary reason why stars are formed and why they end their lives also comes, like these answers would also come when we study these explosive events.
Okay. अब जानेंगे उनकी पास्ट, फ्यूचर और प्रेजेंट रिसर्चेस के बारे में.
So past study during my PhD time was studying supernovae and the afterglows of gamma ray bursts. I continued with that, but then as the field progresses, there are many challenges which come in. As more and more number of events are discovered, the direction of the research also changes. There are new theoretical models which come into picture, which we have to incorporate into our observations. Basically, the observations that we are taken should be explainable by any of the theoretical models. So it's a two-way process. The theory should explain the observations, and your observation should also fit into the theoretical picture. When there are digressions between these two, then new models would be developed, new theories would be developed to explain the observations. And sometimes the observations reveal completely a different picture, a completely different scenario, and that would require like more sophisticated physics involvement. That is one thing. But as I mentioned earlier about the surveys which are going on, so over the last couple of years, I'm also interested in a lot of data mining with the optical surveys, because we at ARIES run an optical survey with the 4-meter International Liquid Mirror Telescope, which captures a strip of the sky each night. So that is not a conventional telescope. It is a telescope which is made of liquid mercury. And because it is the primary mirror is liquid mercury, we cannot maneuver the telescope to different directions. It points towards the zenith. So whichever portion of the sky passes over the detector will be captured. So we are surveying the same portion of the sky every day. And while we are surveying the sky, so each night we are covering about 40 square degree of sky area. And this is resulting in like about 20 gigabytes of data generation each night. And from this, we are trying to extract the new candidates. And for that, we are developing tools and like highly efficient and sophisticated end-to-end pipelines, which will take the raw image, which has been captured by the telescope, and giving you a list of candidates, new candidates that we have identified. So this all rests on heavy computation, heavy software programming involving like image subtraction techniques, then using the machine learning algorithms, primarily the convolution neural networks, which will classify the candidates into different categories. So this is what I'm currently working on now and giving a lot of time, because I mean the data volume will keep increasing as we progress with time.
इस रिसर्च में इंडिया ग्लोबली कहाँ रैंक करती है, आइए ये जानते हैं।
So in terms of the international scenario, I would say that we are contributing equally to what is coming from other international groups also. Of course, not solely dependent upon the data that we acquire with our telescopes, because we work in such a field which requires a wealth of data collected over a course of time. So we do collaborate with other international groups also in terms of data. But the human resources that we train here in terms of the PhD students, they have a very good knowledge of the current times, like in terms of developing programming skills, software skills, and developing efficient pipelines and so on. So I would say that we are nowhere less in those terms. But of course, like in the world or other international astronomers, they have access to like 10-meter class telescopes, and they have been using those for quite a long time, whereas we in India have telescopes which are of the order of 4 meter still. So in terms of observational requirements, we do not have very large facilities. But having said that, in today's time, most of the data, even taken from other telescopes, becomes public. After a certain proprietary or a lock-in period, it becomes public. So anybody is free to use that data. So even if we want to use that data, we can just download the data and perform our own analysis and use it for our research.
इस फील्ड में इंडिया के कंटेम्पररी और कॉम्पिटिटिव कौन कौन सी कंट्री हैं, आइए जानते हैं।
I would say no, because this is a highly collaborative field, as I said. Unless like there are objects very peculiar and objects which will occur like once in a decade or once in 2 decades or once in a century, then there are like very large groups which have the machinery set to perform such a quick analysis and work over the publications and so on. Only in those kind of things one would say that we would be competing. But otherwise, this is in general a collaborative field, I would say.
इंडियन इंडस्ट्री इस रिसर्च से कैसे एसोसिएटेड है, आइए इसके बारे में जानते हैं।
Yeah, that's a very good question actually, because one way I would think industry collaboration could come into picture is in developing like software and databases. Because when you generate such huge amounts of data, you need to also properly like store the data, and we are also making the data public to the community. So the user should be able to, once anybody is using that data, that person should be able to use it in a very like streamlined manner with all the information and all. We are scientists, so we do not really have that capability as a software firm could have, or an industry partner could, the expertise which an industry partner could bring in. So that is one aspect. I think database management and logging of the data, archiving of the data is one important aspect, I think, where the industry contribution would be really, really great, and we would benefit from it.
अब जानेंगे इनके आर्टिकल्स, रिसर्च पेपर्स और जर्नल्स के बारे में।
We, like as I said, I work on time domain astronomy with transient astrophysical sources. So one where we contributed was in the detection of the electromagnetic counterpart of the gravitational wave source in 2017. So that was a remarkable discovery in astronomy by far. And for that we use the Giant Meter Wave Radio Telescope in centimeter, or the radio bands, which is, this telescope is an Indian telescope, but it is open for international collaborators also. It is located in Pune, and it's operated by the National Center for Radio Astrophysics by the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. And we were able to get, through a proposal-driven mode, we were able to get useful data from the GMRT, and that GMRT data was useful in characterizing the electromagnetic counterpart of the gravitational wave source. One is this, and the other important paper which I would like to discuss is about a very high energetic GRB. These are, when I say very high energetic, it is in a short we can call it as a VHE GRB. So this event happened in 2019, and this was one of the first GRBs in which the emission was detected in tera-electron volt. So you can imagine the scale of the energies that we are talking about here. So by the twin MAGIC telescopes, these are Cherenkov detectors which work in very high energy bands, the tera-electron volt emission was detected for this GRB. and we contributed towards a detailed analysis of this GRB, and we tried to answer or discuss about what would be the possible phenomena giving rise to the tera electron volt emission.
अंत में क्या संदेश दिया डॉक्टर कुंतल मिश्रा ने, आइए ये सुनते हैं।
It's been my pleasure and a privilege to actually speak to you today. And I would like to thank the Department of Science and Technology, as well as my host institution, the Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences, who have encouraged such a discussion between scientists and you, which would take this discussion forward to the general public. And also because there's a lot of interest in space and astronomy in general between the younger generation I see nowadays. So I'm sure such an initiative will really foster more curiosity in the younger minds, and also pave a way for their career if at all they're interested in taking this forward as a career opportunity.
तो अभी आपने सुना हमारे एक खास कार्यक्रम। हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि आपको ये पसंद आया होगा। आज के लिए बस इतना ही। अब हमें दीजिए अनुमति। धन्यवाद।